Welcome to Alaska Weather, a production of Alaska Public Media and the National Weather Service, Alaska Region. Produced and broadcast daily from the studios of KAKM, Alaska Weather provides complete forecasts, public, marine, and aviation for all of Alaska. Alaska Weather is made possible by the following sponsors.
The National Weather Service.
Hello again, everyone, and thanks again for joining us for this Thursday's edition of Alaska Weather. I'm Dave Percy. Up first, satellite imagery here showing a lot of clouds front moving across the southeast coast today with rain and even more rain here pushing northeastward. Another development right in that area. A little bit of a break behind the front turning to showers, but this will be moving on through here in the next couple of hours and into the evening. Otherwise, some breaks along the North Gulf Coast and showers across Prince William Sound into the Copper River Basin. The trough axis back out to the west here. Showers back across the Alaska Range. Thunderstorms breaking out today up over the eastern interior area. And then back to the northwest, yet another band of clouds coming east-southeastward out of the Russian Far East. Another push here into the northwest Bering coming across St. Lawrence Island this afternoon. And generally cloudy, maybe a few breaks up there on the north slope with fair amount of clouds out along the Arctic coast, especially of the high variety. And this mostly high-level clouds out through here, although there are some lower top clouds down around Adak. Most of the precipitation off to the south yet, and especially associated with this brighter band of moisture. Otherwise cloudy over the Pribilofs and mostly cloudy there for the Dutch Harbor area. And rolling that again, you can see did have a break, so could have seen some sunshine earlier, then some cirrus actually spreading into the eastern Aleutians there across Nikolsky in toward Dutch Harbor and Unalaska, and more clouds along the Alaska Peninsula. Northwest winds here of 10 to 20 miles an hour, maybe a few higher gusts in some locations there, keeping areas of light rain, drizzle, or fog mostly along the Bering Sea side of the peninsula back on toward the east there, spreading southeastward, but not much precipitation on the lee side of the peninsula or the Aleutian Range. Fairly dry here across Bristol Bay, up across the Yukon-Kuskokwim Delta. Some sunshine up in that area during the afternoon hours. A few scattered showers developing over the mountains. More numerous showers here along the Alaska Range and back into the Kuskokwim Valley. And thunderstorms scattered around the interior, kind of a little more concentrated right in this zone this afternoon. And rainfall amounts today in the 12-hour period ending at 4 p.m. this afternoon ranging from 1 to 2/10, in some cases getting hit by the thunderstorms with moderate showers up to 4/10 to even a half an inch of rain falling in some areas, such as the greater Chena Hot Springs area. Saw about half an inch of rain up in that area. And then scattered over here along and east of the border all the way down into the Wrangell Mountains with some scattered showers along the Coast Range in toward the Kenai Peninsula. This front pushing eastward here, so rain changing to showers, but again this batch associated with the main low there in the upper level system tracking northeast, so looks like a pretty rainy evening coming up for the southeast coast tonight as that moves on in. Still another trough yet off the coast. Actually, that's the original low center. It'll be weakening as it pulls inland with a trough. So the rain tonight starting to change to showers along the central coast late tonight. Thunderstorms diminishing over the interior along with the showers. Back along the upper trough axis right through here. Staying pretty numerous cloudy skies. Areas of rain or showers. That'll be about the heaviest precipitation occurring right through here tonight. Scattered isolated showers back to the west. More light rain, fog, and drizzle sliding southeastward in across the northwest coast, Kotzebue Sound, back across just about all of the Chukchi Sea, down to the northern coast of the Seward Peninsula area. And mostly cloudy for the north slope, isolated showers in the Brooks Range and possibly over the eastern Beaufort Sea coastline as well, but precipitation will be on the light side. Generally storm-free, just a couple of very weak lows out here over the Bering Sea. This system beginning to spread rain northward, still not really reaching Atka or Nikolsky until possibly early tomorrow morning. And then a band of low clouds, IFR, fog, rain, and drizzle extending again from the Alaska Peninsula westward, just south of the Pribilofs, may clip St. George though, all the way out to the Komodorskis. And then for tomorrow, that breaks up a little bit. So this narrow band of showers from roughly the Pribilofs eastward across the Alaska Peninsula in toward Kodiak Island. Look for it to be mostly cloudy with scattered showers there for Kodiak Island. And a weak trough keeps the Gulf of Alaska showery. Another trough here back to the west. Again, the upper level trough axis still to the west, so along in advance of that, that's where you have the best lift. So the heaviest precipitation, bench chats of showers. Again, northern Cook Inlet, Kenai Peninsula, Chugach Mountains on up. Looks like the thunderstorms developing. Copper River Basin, eastern Alaska range. Kind of dry here in the Tanana Valley, 40-mile country. Better chance up here to the north. Along the upper Yukon Valley and the southern slopes of the Brooks Range. Some more thunderstorms possible. Drying out here, looks like a dry day coming up for the Yukon-Kuskokwim Delta. Partial clearing, possibly even out along the coastline. More rain continues up here over the northwest interior areas. Back across mainly the central northern Seward Peninsula, all the way up to Point Hope, Cape Lisburne, to about Point Lay. And then on the east side there, more drizzle, very light rain and fog for lower flying conditions there, with maybe a little bit better conditions across the central north slope. And this front, again, mostly staying to the south, should nudge some moisture northward here. So increasing chances of rain, light rain here for the Fox Islands back to about Atka. Adak probably escaping it. Isolated showers on out to the west. And weak high pressure controlling the Bering Sea for mostly cloudy skies, some areas of fog, but nothing too widespread here, extending all the way back up into the Russian Far East. And then for Saturday, first day of the weekend, got a weak trough here with some showers, west central interior back along the Yukon Delta coast and the southern coast of the Norton Sound there. So Unalakleet all the way back to Stebbins to maybe Amonic, Cape Romanzoff, chance of showers. Partly sunny here for the Kuskokwim Delta, southern Yukon Delta, isolated showers in the afternoon. A little more extensive showers, central northern Kuskokwim Valley, sleep mute up to McGrath and Nikolai, and maybe even Galena as well. Central interior not looking too bad, isolated thunderstorms, again, the Alaska range. Eastern interior, especially with this low, quite an area of precipitation with that as it tracks eastward. Front pushing eastward here, followed by pretty moderate showers. Looks like a very wet day coming up here for the Panhandle on the first day of the weekend. More showers out to the west, and that'll continue probably right into Sunday as well. And this system mostly sliding eastward here comes far enough north to bring some rain to Nikolsky, Unalaska, western Alaska Peninsula. And that's about it. Look for maybe a partly sunny day for Kodiak Island as well as Bristol Bay. Should be drier here over south central Alaska. Afternoon showers over the Chugach, anywhere over the Kenai Peninsula. Afternoon showers possible. On up to the Talkeetnas. Could see some sunshine over Cook Inlet, on down toward Kamishak Bay and across Tuliamna. Temperatures across the Panhandle today all in the mid to upper 50s, with 59 at Yakutat, otherwise Skagway at 56. Same thing at Triangle, 56 degrees, Klawock 57, and 55 over at Cordova, Middleton Island, 57 degrees. Portage 49, 51 there at Seward, with 55 at Homer, 54 in Kenai. Pretty uniform temperatures, upper 50s into the Susitna Valley, Talkeetna at 58. Otherwise, Palmer at 56, 59, Gulkana. Mid to upper 50s here over the central interior, Tanana Valley area, but Eagle did reach 64. And Fort Yukon, 58 degrees. Otherwise, just about in the 50s. Even Anatuvik, though, 53, even with a higher elevation. Otherwise, the Arctic coast lower to mid 40s. That same pattern right down across the northwest here. Selawik Valley, Kotzebue, on down across the Kenai or the Seward Peninsula, with 45 at Nome, about the same out there at Savunga and Gamble, mid 40s. 50s here, southwest coast into Bethel with 56, while Amonic had 57 degrees. St. Paul, 54 this afternoon. Otherwise, again, pretty uniform temperatures, all in the lower to mid 50s, 56 Sand Point, 54 both at Adak and Atka, back to 56 at Shimia, while Unalaska had 53 degrees and 58 up at King Salmon. Lows tonight, upper 40s out there over the Bering Sea, lower 50s for the peninsula, then back down into the 40s there for Bristol Bay. Lower to mid 40s here across all the southwest quarter of the state here, falling into the upper 30s or mid to upper 30s. A little cooler here over the western Brooks Range, dropping down to near 30 possibly. And then lower to mid 40s here northeast to southwest through the central interior. And then also south central Alaska, lower elevations all in the 40s, higher elevations into the 30s, with upper 40s near 50 or into the lower 50s for the southeast coast. Highs for tomorrow, struggling into the 60s here, central Tanana Valley, about the same eastern interior, Eagle 64, 62, Fort Yukon. Mid to upper 50s south of the mountains, Bristol Bay warming up to near 60 tomorrow afternoon. Otherwise near 50 for the Seward Peninsula, 40s Bering Sea, northern Bering Sea, 40s. Arctic coast, North Slope could warm into lower, possibly mid 50s. Otherwise the southeast coast about the same as today with highs in the 50s. Flying weather, lots of IFR out here to the west, staying off the coast except coming down. Again, that westerly flow, IFR conditions on the Bering Sea side of the Alaska Peninsula back to the Pribilofs, north to Nunivak Island. Marginal becoming VFR farther to the west. And zone of lower conditions here, North Gulf Coast, Copper River Basin, northwestward at IFR along the eastern slopes of the western Alaska Range, even the central windy, probably IFR in the southern approach, but marginal back to the northwest. IFR, Wrangell Mountains down along the eastern border of the Panhandle. Tomorrow afternoon, all of the southeast coast forecast to be IFR, and even some kind of increasing IFR conditions here along the western Alaska Range. Prince William Sound, Kenai Peninsula, out here along the southwest coast, now reaching the coastline there of the Yukon Delta. Eastern Arctic coast looking pretty low conditions there with IFR, marginal all the way down into the Brooks Range with VFR for the Arctic Village area, southward to the eastern interior, 40-mile country down into the central Copper River Basin. Expect marginal VFR anywhere out over the Bering Sea tomorrow afternoon. Passes Anaktuvik looking marginal, as well as Anaktuvik. Risk of IFR in the early morning hours. Otherwise, Lake Clark and Merrill starting out IFR, gradually improving to marginal. Rainy, same trend, IFR becoming marginal. And windy as well. IFR, especially on the southern approach, possibly. Otherwise, it'll be a marginal VFR kind of day there. Isabel starting out marginal and then improving to VFR, probably by 10:30 in the morning. And Mentasta, VFR, either approach, risk of an afternoon thunderstorm. And for Tanita, same thing, chance or a risk of an afternoon thunderstorm, marginal VFR becoming VFR in the afternoon. Portage, marginal VFR, and Chilkoot and White, IFR becoming marginal. Freezing levels shows 2,000 feet, cold upper low up there over the Chukchi Sea. Quite a gradient now along the southwest coast, so it's keeping these northwest winds aloft here in place there, and in a cold pool 4,000 feet here right over southern Alaska, the North Gulf Coast, the Kenai Peninsula, and then coming back up to 8,000 to 10,000 feet down toward Dixon Entrance. Icing, possibly some with that system passing by mostly to the south of the Rime variety, but that'll be way up there above 8,000 feet, above 3,000 feet, possible mixed icing in the northwest. Back Kuskokwim Valley, central interior into the Kuskokwim Valley to the Alaska Range, swinging into northern Kodiak Island. That'll be of the mixed variety above 4,000 feet, and icing possible here across the southeast coast at 5,000 feet and up, and more scattered in nature, mixed icing over the eastern interior due to the showers and convective nature of the atmosphere. And for the jet stream, again, sailing southeastward here from the northwest across the Bering Sea, 90 to 100 knots, big upper level low, south side of the jet, so most of Alaska is going to stay in the cool, wet, unsettled pattern here for the next couple of days, definitely into the weekend, and wet for the southeast coast into the weekend. And for the 9,000-foot wind flow chart, westerlies 20 knots, southern Kodiak Island, 15 to 20, southern Gulf of Alaska, take a turn to the northeast, 15 to 25 across the Panhandle. Lighter winds, southern central interior, southwest, so 15 to maybe 20 knots up to the northeast. Light and variable for the north slope and the Arctic coast, and light and variable here all along the west coast. Ridging, light winds, Bristol Bay, Alaska Peninsula, easterlies 20 knots, that's about it on the north side of that low. And otherwise pretty light northerlies for the western Aleutians and Bering. 3,000 feet, same pattern here, except lighter, very light flow, southwest, 5 to 10 knots through much of interior Alaska, all the way up to the Arctic coast, as well as all the way down to the Gulf of Alaska. Westerlies at about 10 for Kodiak, 10 to 20 here for the Panhandle out of the southwest. ridging for lighter winds across Bristol Bay, the Alaska Peninsula. And now 3,000 feet, a little bit more on the wind here, southeast 25, reaching probably the Nikolsky area back to northeast at 30 for possibly Atka Island, otherwise northerlies 20 to 25 or 15 to 25 for the western Aleutians and Bering Sea. Otherwise, much of the Bering here under light variable wind conditions with a couple of very weak lows. And for turbulence, not much over the interior. Maybe light to isolated moderate here from the western Seward Peninsula back across southern Chukchi Sea to the Russian Far East, and then some mechanical turbulence possible, really nothing too serious for the eastern Aleutians, westward to maybe Adak, all below 4,000 feet, especially for small aircraft. And probably will be a little bumpy here, northern Panhandle, Lynn Canal, Glacier Bay, back in toward the Wrangell Mountains, again below about 4,000 feet. And after the break, I'll be back with a look at the ice edge and the marine forecasts.
It's moon shadow time. Welcome to Stargazers. I'm Dean Regas, astronomer from the Cincinnati Observatory.
And I'm James Albury, director of the Kika Silva Pla Planetarium in Gainesville, Florida. Finally, the moment we've been waiting for is here.
That's right, James. The great North American total solar eclipse of 2017 is next week, Monday, August 21st.
So this week we'll help you get prepared for it and also talk about why eclipses like this are so special. Let's show you.
The geometry of a solar eclipse is quite simple. First, the moon must be in the new phase, putting the moon between the sun and Earth. When the Earth, moon, and sun align perfectly, we get eclipses.
Because the moon's orbit is tilted by about 5 degrees with respect to the Earth's orbit around the sun, the Earth, moon, and sun rarely align. However, when they do, the shadow of the moon can pass directly over the surface of the Earth. This is what we call a solar eclipse.
The type of solar eclipse you experience depends on your location with respect to the moon's shadow.
First, let's talk about distance and perspective. Our sun is over 800,000 miles in diameter, while our moon is just under 2,200 miles in diameter. This means that volume-wise, if the sun was hollow, you could put over 200 million moons inside the sun.
Fortunately for us, the sun is really far away, much further away from us than the moon. The sun is roughly 93 million miles away from Earth, while the moon is, on average, only 240,000 miles away from us. That means the moon is about 387 times closer to us than the sun.
Coincidentally, with the sun being really big but very far away, the sun and moon are just the right distance from the Earth that they appear to be the same size, about half a degree in width. The angular size of the moon varies depending on the moon's distance from us. This angular size is important when it comes to experiencing a total solar eclipse. Totality is a brief event where if you're directly under the moon's shadow, the sky will get dramatically darker and you'll see some of the brighter stars and planets appear. The trick is you have to be at the right place at the right time.
Everyone in the United States will get to see some part of this eclipse. However, because the moon's shadow is so small, most of us will only see part of the sun covered by the moon.
However, if you happen to live in or travel to a city within a 75-mile wide path between Salem, Oregon and Charleston, South Carolina, you'll get to experience totality.
Now let's talk safety. You don't want to mess around with staring at the sun. You need the right equipment to view the partial stages of the eclipse, when only part of the sun is blocked by the moon.
If even a little sliver of the sun is showing, you need eye protection. Do not use regular sunglasses, CDs, film negatives, smoked glass, foil wrappers, or mylar balloons. They will not protect you. The cheapest and easiest method is to use eclipse shades or number 14 welder's glasses. These have such dark lenses in them that it's safe to look at the sun through them.
You could make a pinhole camera as well. Let the sun shine through a hole in a piece of paper onto the ground, and you can make an image of the sun.
And remember, you can always stop by your local observatory or planetarium, and they may have an eclipse party going on during the eclipse where you can see the event safely. There's also another really neat effect that you'll experience during totality. If you're directly under the path of the moon's shadow, everywhere under that shadow will be dark. However, the surrounding areas outside the shadow will still be lit.
From your perspective, the horizon all around you will appear to glow, but the sky above you will be much darker. Even if your area is partially clouded out, you'll still be able to experience this eerie effect during totality.
Totality is definitely worth it, so pack the car.
Drive safely, and as always, keep looking up.
Welcome back. Sea ice analysis. Ice edge continuing to creep northward here. This breaking off now, just a patch of ice floating around right through there and maybe some in that area, but otherwise sea ice free all around it. And not much change expected over the next few days. It's kind of shifting around a little bit on the main edge. For the southeast coast, southwesterlies 15 up to 20 knots on the south coast. Strongest winds inside waters, Clarence Strait at 20 knots from the south. Northern Canal tomorrow afternoon, 20 knots, also from the south, 4-foot seas. And the north coast looking pretty light, south to southeast, just 10 knots, 6 to 7-foot seas. And Passage Canal, south at 15, 3-foot seas. Moving on to Saturday, we've got southwesterlies here for most of the coastline at about 15, so no big heavy winds coming in at all. Seas running 8 feet, so small current advisories here for the central coast, southeast 15 up on the north coast there. And small current advisories for northern Canal, a little bit tighter gradient, especially in the afternoon Saturday for 25-knot winds, 5-foot seas, southeast 15 knots here for the central and southern inner channels. And then for Prince William Sound, southeast light tomorrow, Cook Inlet south light, all the way down to Kachemak Bay. Southwest 15 for Shelikof Strait. Westerlies about 20 knots here, east side of Kodiak Island, northward into that marine zone east of Fognak Island. Otherwise, the Barrens back down to light winds at 10 knots. And then 10 to 15 south-southeasterlies from the North Gulf Coast, 5 to 6-foot seas. Those seas even lay down more for Saturday here with 10 to 15 knot winds or barely breezes. 4-foot seas, 5 feet there, east side of Kodiak with southwest 15 forecast, light northeasterlies for Shelikof Strait, continued light winds for Cook Inlet and Kachemak Bay, and Prince William Sound, light southeast breeze at 10 knots with 2-foot seas or less. And for Bristol Bay, west at 15 tomorrow, pick up to 20 knots here for the Alaska Peninsula. Seas running 8 to 9 feet here, and 8-foot seas all the way up to Sitkinak, so small current advisories for all those zones with the seas 8 feet and higher. And then for Saturday, seas come down, lose the small craft advisories, and light winds northeast to 10, Bristol Bay. North at 15 here for the Bering Sea side of the peninsula, east 15, the Pacific side. From Castle Cape to Sitkinak, back around to the south at about 15 knots with 5-foot seas. For Unalaska Island, south to southwest, 20 knots. Otherwise, turning south to southeast here toward Nikolsky. And becoming east to northeast, 20 to 25 there for Adak and Atka, turning northwest of Adak, dropping back to 15 from the northwest there from Amchitka all the way back to Shimei and Attu. And then for Saturday, northwest 20 in this zone, turn north at 20, northerlies 20 knots right across Adak and Atka, seas 5 to 7 feet. And except for this one zone here with the 8-foot seas, no small craft advisories in any of these zones, and those winds for the Fox Islands down to 15 knots from the east and northeast. And for the southwest coast, northerlies at 10, seas 5 feet, west 15, 7-foot seas for the Pribilof, St. Matthew Island, easterlies more or less at 15 with seas at 5 feet, and St. Lawrence Island northwest at 15, seas 4 feet. And then for Saturday, 15-knot northerly winds here from the Bering Strait down across St. Lawrence Island, all the way down across Nunivak Island and there west-southwest of Kuskokwim Bay, all 15 knots, 3 to 4 foot seas. Northeast 15 for St. Paul, St. George. Seas only 4 feet. 4-foot seas for St. Matthew Island with winds down to 10 knots from the northeast. Eastern and central Beaufort Sea coast for tomorrow. Really light in the winds, north to northeast or basically north. 5 knots, slight seas here, central coast, maybe even just smooth. Northeast at 10 with 3-foot seas here for the west side. Picking up to 15 knots, Cape Beaufort on down to Cape Thompson. Turning west, picking up to 20 knots here. Right into probably blow all the way into the Selawik Valley at 20 knots tomorrow with 6-foot seas. And then for Saturday, north 20, all the way up from Wales to Cape Beaufort, 4 to 5-foot seas, northeast at 15 for the western coast. Central coast still 5 knots, really no wind at all, but they're carrying 3 feet in the sea heights there. Light northeasterlies at 10 for the eastern Beaufort Sea coast with seas at about 2 feet, so pretty slight yet still. And then for the forecast tonight, lots of clouds, lots of showers, diminishing thunderstorms and showers here for the eastern interior. Mostly cloudy, scattered showers south central Alaska. More numerous showers along this trough axis here from the Alaska Range, Kuskokwim Valley up into the central interior. More moisture sliding southeastward here up to the northwest with that weak low, and it stays wet. Another surge of moisture coming in right now, mostly in the northern Panhandle. Kind of shift to the south though, so it looks pretty wet for tonight for the southeast coast. And then a low trying to push some moisture up to the eastern Aleutians. Has a better chance of doing that tomorrow. Back to about Atka. Otherwise, high pressure controlling the Bering Sea out here. Lots of clouds, numerous showers, isolated thunderstorms Alaska Range, and also along and south of the eastern Brooks Range. More rain spreading southeast and south across the Seward Peninsula. And then for Saturday, breaking out, drying out here to the west and northwest. Showers to the Kuskokwim Valley. More rain for the Panhandle. Have a great evening.
These forecasts are to be used for planning purposes only. Call 1-800-WX-BRIEF for a formal pre-flight briefing. Always file a flight plan before you go flying. The U.S. Coast Guard Auxiliary urges you to leave a float plan with a friend or the harbor master before you go boating. Alaska Weather is made possible by the following sponsors.
The National Weather Service.